So that is the second term. All right. I can do full screen. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thanks for staying till the end. My name is Mayur. I work as a digital innovation technologist at Perkins & Will. And I'm also a founding team member of ArchiDAO. It's an open source community developing metaverse projects and smart contracts between real estate and metaverse. So first of all, I'm really excited to share and moderate this panel. We have some great panelists. And I must say, blockchain has moved beyond cryptocurrency. There are so many interesting applications. And I'm going to give a short talk about how, what are some applications I found which are very much relevant to AEC. So we all know like how blockchain works. You submit a transaction, do peer-to-peer consensus. Various blockchains have different consensus mechanism. And then once the transaction is verified, then they pull, and then the next block is minted. So a simple analogy I could say is, let's say your bank or centralized database has a Google sheet of all the transaction of all account holders. And let's say I batch the first 15 rows of that Google sheet into one block, next 15 rows into another block. And that gives a whole asset transaction decentralized ledger for that bank. So there are lots of amazing things going on in blockchain community right now, including like DeFi, decentralized finance protocols, decentralized identity, NFTs, and smart contracts. So I'm gonna first go through the foundation. So if you ask people, let's say in 1995, what would internet become? No one had idea. And similarly, I think we are at a time where this technology is built on top of TCP/IP. And 25 years later, we might not know blockchain will be underlying interface of all the transactions you do or all the applications you interface. So one thing, like from as a developer, there are few things which are very productive in developing decentralized apps compared to traditional. So you might know like setting up authentication for signing up to your apps is like setting up that back end and front end for it. In blockchain, I could just have 6 lines of code. It can authenticate who is the signer from their wallet address. And once I deploy my smart contract, I have a full running application within minutes. So this is like the main change of developing dApps versus currently. And this is like a Web3 tech stack. So we have the network layer, which I was like mentioning before. Then there are various even file storage, identity, and other protocols really accelerating the space. And just another example of how like even like I went to a Chainlink conference where they are developing oracles, because blockchain smart contract doesn't know anything about real world. So we need oracles to talk to blockchains and make on-chain actions based on real world events. A lot of gaming. So first thing, if I want to send money to India, like through checking account, it takes 3 days. And if I'm sending on Friday, it's gonna take 2 additional days, because its own database and consensus takes that time for verification. Blockchain allows instant settlement. So imagine in construction financing, where once you approve your work, there's instant settlement and all your subs are getting automated payouts. So blockchain is one way of maintaining the ledger. You could also have acyclic graph protocol, where using decentralized ledger technology. This example is from IOTA DLT, where I was playing with that protocol. How, if I'm getting a T-shirt, I could have that whole supply chain action on chain. So on the right, each party who are part of that protocol signs and verifies where various stages of fabricating that shirt, and then you can check out all the proofs and data on chain using that. And what one more interesting protocol I found is blockchain allows fluidity. So now you can program your assets by batching them or having another smart contract integrated with it. So this is a protocol which streams money. So I was saying interesting applications built on top where your subscription, let's say your Netflix subscription is using like that fluid protocol, where each second, each day, you are draining money from your account to their account. And that reduces a lot of upfront costs. Imagine you need like $1 million for applying for any contracting position. Here, you could use this technology where you are draining money each day, which reduces like upfront costs. Even for rental, you don't need to pay your rent upfront. What if each day you pay for only the time you live? So this develops that protocol. And I've seen a lot of decentralized autonomous organization and protocols already using this. Data economy. So we involve with a lot of IoT data, construction data. And this is one project where what if you get reward tokens for generating and sharing your data? And that opens up a whole another way of people getting rewards for sharing stuff. So Web3 has this ethos of you have like permissionless way of building things and permission way of sharing data. So to my earlier point, this is like one smart contract I deployed on blockchain. All the code is open source, you can read it, but also each contract has this various function calls. And if you compare with Web2, you build your apps, you need to have explicit API calls for other people to have interact with it. Here, every contract you deploy on chain, it has built-in API. And if I have built-in APIs with various types of smart contract, I could have my own custom smart contract which batches various other protocols into one transaction. So one possible application, if I have a configurator developed by an engineering firm, architecture firm, it lives on its own smart contract. I could have like a composable configurator API call using all the smart contract and deploy those. This is one project called CityDAO, which I'm involved, where they started with an idea: what if we deploy 10,000 NFT? They call like citizen NFT, and we buy a land in Wyoming. So in Wyoming, a smart contract is considered a legal entity. So like similar to LLC. So if all those NFT holder have ownership of this land, even if they sell their NFT and there's new owner, you don't need to update on the legal contract because it all directs to the smart contract, which is an address. On the right, there is like Propy, another real estate NFT marketplace. There's Balcony DAO based in New York. They are doing like Web3 enabled real estate. One thing which I really think is becoming more and more popular is the network state, where group of highly aligned communities who work together online and they have an endpoint in real life, and that becomes one node of this network, and globally this forms a network state of various nodes. So you could imagine decentralized Uber, decentralized WeWork, with all the people with this vision. And we have currently the technology mature enough where apart from like currency, there are like coordination protocols through various DAOs. There's also operating and regulation protocols built on top of this to have this digital network state. So like bringing again like an example of, there are so many new protocols I'm finding there which are building on top of like network state. The one on the right is called Sapien Nation, where they're also integrating a network state using in their community. So to conclude, like I'm part of various DAOs, and DAOs are people speculating are the future of work. So you name your interest, there's DAO for that, like music, culture, dance, event organizing, even venture capital using a DAO is like there are various DAOs for that. And I really like this slide, which like what is a minimum viable metaverse? Like people get confused between virtual worlds and metaverse, and there are various factors which are very common in this metaverse, and we still don't know the exact definition yet. But this diagram gives a good idea when you're critically analyzing various metaverse platforms. So. And lastly, sustainability. Like last year, I heard so many architects describing, I'm not going to use Ethereum because of their energy impact. I just want to share this diagram where whatever Visa transactions you do, like 24,000 per second is their capacity. And there are new protocols like Solana, Algorand, which can do way more faster TPS. And like just to give like an analogy, like your 2 to 5 Google search is the same energy spent by Solana on one transaction. So this gives a perspective that there are new protocols which are way more sustainable. And you might have also heard Ethereum going from proof of work to proof of stake using the merge. So it's 99.98% more efficient. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. And I would like to introduce and invite Andrew for his talk.
Hello, hello. Is that good? All right. One person, not financial advice, one personal comment here. While energy efficiency is very important, there are other factors way more important in choosing your blockchain. So do not choose it based off of the energy efficiency. Thank you, sir. Okay. So first off, I'm with Chain Vision. My name's Andrew, talking about ultimately that our connections have value. That's what I want you to remember from this. Are these my most recent? Whatever, we'll make it work. So I had an intro slide here, and it described Chain Vision and myself. I'll just do that off the cuff. So Chain Vision represents the digital asset exposure of the Bloom family office. They're one of the family offices based out of Chicago, involved in different things. We were established in 2021, and we've been very research focused. So we've been trying to answer the question I'm sure you guys have thought about when it comes to blockchain for a bit, which is like, where is the actual utility? And so we've been very focused researching where that is. Personally, I come from Detroit. So to answer the question, everyone's kind of got like an origin story, how they got here sort of thing. I got here because I grew up in the middle of 2008 and saw how that impacted many of my friends and family. And so while you have varying degrees of knowledge on blockchain, just to simplify it, I think blockchain has a lot of potential to make our economic substrate that we all use to coordinate much more anti-fragile and equitable. So I told you I wanted you to leave with the fact that connections have value. But to start with that, I want to convince you that humans want to feel connected. This should not be a surprise, but this is a clear trend that we've been displaying. In addition to that, again, your connections have actual value. And so just to look at that, right? This is the last 100 years. You've probably seen this before, token slide that I stole, but it's okay. It's a good one. Innovation is accelerating. If we look over the past 100 years, this is percentage of US population. So automobile, airplane, over here on the left, electricity, PC, and then the internet. What's similar about all of those is we really want to feel more connected with each other. Similarly, this is over internet adoption and popular platforms, right? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, WeChat. I'd pace, so if I trip, hopefully get on camera. TikTok here, as the most recent example, continuing to show that accelerating adoption of us feeling connected. Now, what's interesting about internet adoption is it added a really important piece. It added culture, right? Most of the most popular internet platforms that we use today are not actually focused on our, I'll say like traditional capital as we think about it. It's focused towards our social capital, which has value. And so what is our world like right now with respect to how we're managing that social capital that has value? We're giving it away to a bunch of different entities that have control over that, and entire revenue models revolving around that. I think you're aware of that. If you're not, hopefully you are, all right? Facebook has to make money somehow. So one of the reasons, a couple of reasons here, that Web3, just to think about it kind of as foundationally, like why is this interesting? The first is that creators have true ownership of their identity. If you think about identity, what really is that? To me, it's all the data points associated with my connections, right? Whether that's professionally or whether that's through culture, socially. So you have control over your actual data points, and ownership of those, which is not something we have in the way the world currently operates. Users also have choice. So if I build a following on Twitter, let's say, and I want to move over to YouTube or move over to Facebook or move over to OnlyFans, I have to build up those communities on their own, right? Here, as people have alluded to, we have a shared global state, an agreed upon truth of data points. And so every front-end application can access that same truth. And you as a creator can move your audiences around, and you as a user can choose kind of through which front ends you want to interface with your connections. And the final part here for developers, which is super interesting and powerful, is that these are open source global networks. And so when you build something and you publish it on an open source public blockchain, that is immediately a global software product that is available to the globe. So immediate global access. So to simplify this, maybe you've seen this before, right? Web 1, read, you can see a cool article. Web 2, you could read, but you can also write, right? It made it very easy to be one of those, be part of that article that someone else was reading. Facebook here, right? And these are still moving towards us wanting to feel connected and value our relationships. But the last part here, which we're just starting to grapple with what it means, is that we can now own all of that. So whether it's our business relationships or social relationships, we can manage our identity and have ownership over that. And so one other piece here, how much, am I good on time so far? Like a couple minutes? Okay. I'll try to be quick. So one other piece is important. In addition to ownership, there's some really cool opportunities with voting. And just to pause on what voting is, like voting allows formal evolution, right? Whatever group you're talking about, it allows us to all agree that like this is, whether 100% of us agree or not, this is what happened and we're going to move forward. It's a really important piece of how all of us coordinate in your businesses, obviously globally. But there's an issue, which is while the perfect vote is completely heads down, where there is no trusted entity that gets to see what everyone else is doing. And I would just say this is illustrated through what you're seeing globally, right? Like it's very difficult to have a truly free democracy. It's like almost impossible, some would say, because you need that person who's looking up and keeping tallies. Well, with what blockchain and advances in cryptography allows is you could have a heads down vote where no one's keeping their head up. You probably get much more accurate results. What if you could also administer that globally, instantly, and with near zero cost? That's what the scaling of these blockchains will allow. And so I don't have exact answers of how you should apply that, But it's really important to recognize that you'll be able to take consensus over variable amounts of people in a very trusted way with very little cost very quickly. So blockchains allow a lot of different, I'm pissed. I had a slide in here in real estate. So let me just give a couple examples from how we were talking today about how real estate may be interesting for folks. The first most obvious is supply chain to me. I think that's one that's just waiting to be tapped really. So, you know, if you could have actions automatically logged, like I used to work at a large company in the US and like it's a mess, I know. So you would basically have automatic logging, clear up a lot of your internal processes. But some more cool examples. First, like what if you could have property listed always to everyone on earth to speculate on the value of it with zero cost? If you had an NFT owning your property, representing ownership of your property, that's what you would have. Anyone around the world could say, I'm willing to pay X for zero cost. So it really kind of changed how those dynamics work. And then the second part to think about is back to that voting piece. There's an ability as architects, you probably think about the culture that you're developing around. The ability to, in a very targeted but secure, efficient, low-cost way, take kind of consensus maybe of that community, of that culture, is now becoming very accessible. And so just think about maybe how do you begin to use these tools to incorporate culture and community earlier into what you're working on. So just some things to think about. But blockchain, Web3 in general, takeaways here to leave with, it allows ownership of your connections and culture. You individually, you actually have ownership of your connections and of your culture. But it also allows that connection and that culture to have an evolution, to mature through these voting mechanisms. And we've already seen that we're humans who are trying to get closer and closer together, right? We've been trying for hundreds of years. And we've just unlocked two very powerful tools to bring value to that. And so again, I just remind you that your connections have actual value. We just have to figure out how to extract that. And so, yeah, we spend a lot of time at Chain Vision thinking about how to actually apply these tools in meaningful ways within communities we care about. I would love to hear from some of you, not right now, on how you're doing this and how you're thinking about it. And if you'd like to get in contact with us, here's the QR code to go to our website, or you could email us at contact@chainvision.xyz. And that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Now I would like to invite Matt from I'm Not Art Gallery.
There's opportunity. You can see my title is a little crass. It's very direct and little mic action. That's better. This is going to be pretty quick. My goal here is really just to get the light bulb going in terms of people understanding the tremendous opportunity that we see here in Web3, specifically for architects. The title is a little direct. A lot of people look at NFTs and metaverse in this space as an area you can make money, but maybe not in ways that actually improve the world we all live in today. But I can promise you that there really is a place for architects in Web3, and the skill set that you guys have is tremendously needed. So that's kind of how it starts off. Like there's a massive opportunity for architects right now. A lot of people are talking about these terms, Web3, NFTs, metaverse, and a lot of it doesn't really exist, right? Everybody's talking about it, but nobody knows how to build it. And what you get is a lot of people that are speculating on virtual land and with the inability to essentially create anything interesting in it. I don't know if anybody's heard about the number of people that use the metaverse right now. There were some articles that went around that were looking at incredibly low player numbers in the metaverse. And some of the metaverse people were like, oh, that's not actually an accurate count. That's not fair. You're not looking at the traffic the right way. But even if you look at the traffic the right way, the actual community and people that are in the metaverse right now is basically nothing, like in the scope of brand reach and video games and stuff like that. In the metaverse, the example for a music event in the metaverse is still Travis Scott and Fortnite, which is, you could call it a metaverse, but it's Fortnite. And so that's kind of the opportunity right now, is that everybody's talking about it. You're hearing all these meetings, but nobody knows truly how to build it. And architects are going to be a really critical component to building these kind of usable spaces. And it's because your skills are immediately applicable and transferable. And I didn't realize exactly how direct until yesterday when we did the workshop. So Mayor and Katrina, who we'll hear from next from Monoverse, hosted a hackathon, a one-day hackathon workshop at I'm Not Art. That's probably a good place to start. I'm Matt, by the way. I'm a co-founder, CEO of I'm Not Art. We're a Chicago-based NFT gallery / kind of Web3 community incubator type concept. And during this workshop, we had a number of architects who had no experience building in the metaverse. They had no experience building in Unity. But what they did have is some awesome things built in Rhino, and they were building new things and able to go back in their portfolio. So the skills that you guys have, like with people that didn't even, hadn't experimented with Unity, within a one-day course, were able to build worlds in ways that you could actually experience some of these builds that they had in their portfolios. That was maybe one of the most interesting things that I found. Was one of the projects was using kind of files that they created a while back, and now here's it living and breathing in kind of this immersive world. And so the skills that you guys have are incredibly needed right now, and they're transferable. The large opportunity I think you have right now, going back to this idea, you have all these people that have land and nobody knows what to do with it. There's the opportunity to bridge this gap between the people that have this land in these metaverses that are emerging and end users, and build these experiences. The argument that the metaverse, is lame is true right now. But it doesn't have to be. And it's not, it's not just architects. It's architects working with people that are creating compelling programming and creating these environments together. And that kind of leads to kind of I'm Not Art and kind of our concept. And so we call ourselves the first digital gallery / venue in the world. We can show a little bit of what that kind of looks like right now. If the video plays, maybe. Yeah, let's see. Is there like a click I can do on it or something? Maybe not. I can talk through it. The video is really helpful though, kind of shows what it is. So essentially we create events that are phygital. And so I don't know, if you guys have heard that term around, phygital, combination of physical, digital. There you go right now. So this is kind of our gallery in Wicker Park, a physical gallery where people can come see NFTs in real life, which we thought was incredibly important. A lot of people have a hard time understanding what it is. And here is an art exhibition that also took place in the metaverse. Notice how kind of low res and just how basic that type of concept is. But the concept that I'm Not Art is, let's host events that have virtual components to it, like a virtual gallery and a physical event as well, and merge them together. And the reason that we're going in that path is because we've never seen anybody do that before. And so we're kind of early to that concept, but we think that there's a real, I'm trying to go next here. I got one more video, Mayor. I might need you right here. So here. So this is the secret sauce. When people come to I'm Not Art, we show them an experience like this. And this was the first ever event that we ever did this concept. And what you see in there is a bunch of these metaverse figures dancing on our table that is actually real in Chicago. So you see in the background a live video feed of the same environment. And so our whole concept is, how do you create actual experiences in the metaverse, things that people actually want to show up to, both whether it's physically or virtually. And it's through these types of experiences, whether it's around art exhibition or whether it's around a music performance, a fashion show, that will truly bring people into these worlds and get them interested. And that's kind of our whole concept at I'm Not Art. And it speaks to just how early we are, because we were like, well, we haven't seen anybody do this anywhere. We started in the metaverse, building a metaverse art gallery, essentially, got popular. And then we're like, hey, what if we have a physical one and then rebuild it in the metaverse and, do one-to-one kind of concepts. And so It's still so early. We have not seen many people do what we're doing. Mayor is along that path of creating these digital twins, but not in these kind of siloed environments, but in this concept of an open metaverse. And we're so early that as architects, it's such an opportunity to kind of connect with these emerging worlds that your files can immediately kind of go into, like Mona. Because right now it's still so small. Like, we're lucky to have Katrina here in person. You can go into the Mona Discord and talk with the Mona, anybody on the team. Like Web3, it seems like, yeah, but it's actually so small. And so if you're an architect, these metaverse platforms are not going to be able to build out all the brand experiences and things that people are going to want to build there. Like, when more people know what you can do in Mona, people are going to want to do music concerts similar to what we're doing right now in a low res version. And who's going to build it? So I think there's a real opportunity for architects to network with specific metaverses, and then also find people like myself who are trying to build these metaverse kind of experiences. But, we can only go so far. We're not architects. Like, we're video game nerds. Like, and not that there's not an overlap there, but, I think that there's such an opportunity for actual kind of architects to come in and build these spaces, because like in the real world where, functionality is so important, the same applies to the metaverse. And that's what we've learned. Like, the spaces you build in the metaverse need to be built for those types of experiences. And who better than architects who are always challenged with that problem now to be thinking, what does that mean in the virtual world? And this, I'm just wrapping it up right now, but we're actually live in the metaverse right now in Amsterdam. As I'm talking, Zach, our CTO, is kind of managing that in the background right now, and a live demo at a conference. Cross your fingers in the metaverse. Let's see how this loads here, and then maybe get an autoplay of the video in front right here. Let's see, or maybe click the video. Yeah. So essentially, there's a live set going on in Amsterdam for ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event, and yeah, I can probably just kind of look around a little bit too. I don't know if it's yeah. Let's go third person. So essentially, what we're doing right now is trying to build community, and this is how early we are. Going back to that slide, I mean, this is not the final state for I'm not music, and for our concepts in here. And there's not even like these games can't even necessarily even scale to the size of even like a Fortnite to be able to even accommodate something like that. But this is like what gets me going, and what I'm Not Art is all about. It's experimenting with this type of digital connections and concepts, and then how can we take it even further from there. And so that's a little bit about I'm Not Art. I think I just got like one last slide and then I'm done. But really, if anybody's interested in the metaverse, building in the metaverse, knowing more about the metaverse, send me an email, because like we are literally trying to onboard businesses here in Chicago and globally into the metaverse. We just did it for this company CoinFlip that does crypto ATMs. They opened up a location in Tampa. We built it in Voxels, the metaverse that one of the metaverses we build in. And we really see an opportunity to create network effects by creating these kind of cities. Now you're talking about urban planning, and now you're talking about, this world again. And so anybody that's really interested, even if it's just a question or wants to get involved, like we are looking for people to build in these worlds, including the world you're about to learn about right now. And it's a really great transition, I think, to learn more about Mona. You saw kind of voxels, and that's the very beginning. Mona, in our opinion, is kind of is what is coming. And so I'm excited for you guys to see what it looks like, and excited to introduce Katrina.
Next up is Katrina from Mona.
Hey everyone, so I'm Kat. I don't know, should I start? It's been a long day, so if you guys want to stand up or stretch or anything, feel free. Let me get these slides up. Oh, are they up? Cool. So I'm going to talk about my experience and journey working in architecture, leaving architecture, working in Web3 full-time, and then now going back to architecture. Oh, do I need this thing? I think it's really important that architects help build the metaverse, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, I'm going to share a little bit about my story and my transition. I've been in the Web3 and crypto space since 2016. I finished my architecture degree in 2017. And then in 2020, I quit and decided to work in Web3 full time, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. In 2021, I've launched several multi-million dollar projects. I helped Susan Sarandon make her first NFT. She's like an American actress. I made educational TikTok videos. At first, it was quite small. I was only getting like 200 views, but Snoop Dogg's team found it. And so they reached out to me and I got to hop on a call with Snoop Dogg's team. And that was like pretty dope. So that encouraged me to keep going. And then as I kept going, my content started to blow up. I started getting thousands of views and then 500,000. And then that brought me close to some of the world's biggest NFT marketplaces like OpenSea, Rarible, Bitsky, all those companies. And it's been a great time ever since. Now 2022, I'm back with my architecture stuff, working for a metaverse company and building my own project as well too, combining my two passions of architecture and Web3. This is actually the first time that I've like spoken and been around people who are not in Web3. Like I'm full on Web3, always around crypto people. So this is a fun experience. So in September 2021, when travel started to open, my excitement for architecture actually like resurfaced in Atlanta. So this is one of my clients' homes. Dallas Austin, he's a producer. We were working on an NFT project together. If you don't know who he is, you know the song No Scrubs by TLC. So he produced that. He used to be married to one of the singers. We were working on a project together, and then he knew how much I loved architecture. So he introduced me to the Portman family, which built most of the city in Atlanta. And then they gave me a tour of Atlanta, which is pretty cool. They showed me all their towers, they're architect developers, and that's what I've always wanted to be. So that was like really inspiring. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna continue at it and see what I can build. So in the meantime, what I'm doing now to, before I become an architect developer, I work for 3 Web3 companies, Coco NFT, so they turn social media posts into NFTs. Working at Coco NFT, I work with a lot of like social media influencers. Ariel is also another Web3 company. They focus on sustainability in Web3. So we've worked with people like Pepsi, Levi, Sia, Calvin Harris, Shakira, and if you know NFT blue chip projects, Moonbirds and Deadfellas as well too. I also work for Monaverse. We have a table in the back with a couple screens. Feel free to check that out. I'll be talking more about Monaverse because I think it'll be very valuable to you guys as architects. I also have my own project. I'm building a metaverse cemetery. I have an amazing team of 10 people who are very passionate and innovative people. They're from Amazon, Microsoft, some of the best gaming developers out there. I love and adore my team. I'm self-funded as well too, so I'm not taking any investment from anyone. I'm a crypto trader, so in case I run out of funds, I just leverage trade, and then that's how I pay people. So what is the metaverse? If you are into gaming, I don't know if anyone here is into gaming. Yeah, you're into gaming, nice. So you know exactly what the metaverse is. Just add blockchain technology, NFTs, crypto, and you've got the metaverse. Here's also a definition from Jaron Lanier. He's like a pioneer in the Web3 space, like metaverse specifically. So what can you do in the metaverse? You can do a lot of things. You can use the metaverse for design research purposes, extend the life cycle of your models. Like you build these models and yes, you got to make construction drawings, but what happens to the model after, right? Why not bring that into the metaverse for people all over the world to enjoy? You can create and choose your digital identity. You can be whoever you want to be in the metaverse. You can meet up with friends from all over the world, collaborate with colleagues, have token-gated events, attend a concert, go shopping, and a whole bunch of other stuff that probably hasn't even been invented yet, but you could be someone who does that. So why are architects important in shaping the metaverse? I think you guys have a lot of knowledge in how spaces function and engage with people IRL. You bring a depth of art and philosophy that gaming developers may not necessarily have. However, they're very important in building the metaverse. So architects will need to learn how to work with gaming developers if they want to build and shape the metaverse. Personally, I don't know if any of you architects have been frustrated at work where like you have a design and your design never lives out its true potential because the developers are always telling you what to do, cutting corners, and maybe your clients don't have good taste. So in the metaverse, you can really play around and experience, your true design. You can even test it out with people from all over the world. And if it works, bring it to life. The metaverse can also be used for research purposes. So how do I get started in building the metaverse? We did a workshop yesterday, which was like really fun. All the architects who attended learned Unity within a day, which was like pretty amazing. How fast you guys can pick up these new tools. A lot of people, a lot of 3D modelers and graphic designers, sometimes they take a little bit longer, but I find architects have the skills to really pick up and learn these new tools because you're doing it on a daily basis, whether it be like, what is it, AutoCAD, Revit, Rhino, 3D Studio Max, all these different tools. You guys are really good at picking it up. So why not pick up the metaverse tools as well too? So yeah, check out Monaverse. Go to www.monaverse.com. Join our communities. We've got some of the top builders there. We're a platform made for builders, by builders. Our team is filled with architects, 3D artists, software engineers, and a bunch of gaming developers. We want to empower people to create, collect, and share their high quality immersive experiences. Honestly, like our builders are some of the best in the world. They've been featured in DZine, ArcDaily, and Architizer. That could be you next. So why not build something cool? We also have a lot of really amazing tools. We provide templates. The architects yesterday got to try it out. We have an architect Unity template that you guys can use to upload your work from like Rhino or Revit, whatever tools that you use, so that they can be up to the metaverse standards, but there's no standards really because we're still so early. So you have the freedom and flexibility. We also just launched an AI material generator tool. So you can literally use text prompts. You'd be like, hey, I want brick, I want wood. And that'll apply the textures to your materials, which make things a lot easier. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, find me on socials, and yeah.
Thank you. Next up is Robert from DigiBuild.
I can just start while you open it up anyway. So I'm going to try and blend a little bit of Web3 with real life use cases of construction or in AEC in the built world, because they're two very different, subject matters and disciplines. And so I actually gave my first presentation here in this building about 4 years ago when I had first started DigiBuild. So a little bit of background on us. We make software to revolutionize construction projects, profits, and people. So in the real world, what do? We're fixing construction's broken supply chain. So we help contractors and owners find, order, manage, and track their building material. So as you all know, construction's an $11 trillion industry, and I'll flip through this. And 40% of that is material that has to be managed. And in this post-COVID world, that has obviously become a very big issue with pricing that's very volatile, availability of materials that's very volatile. So what we do is we help contractors and owners to manage that. As most of you probably know, as architects or general contractors, owners, whatever, a lot of this is done manually right now using Excel spreadsheets, paper-laden processes, phone calls to suppliers. So you might be thinking, okay, DigiBuild, that's cool. How does that apply to Web 3.0? So we are built on top of blockchain. We are built on top of Hyperledger Fabric, which is a business blockchain. And the reason for that is because if you think about construction, tear away all the layers, at the end of the day, it's a situation where you have a bunch of different companies, a bunch of different stakeholders who don't trust one another, but they have to exchange trusted or valuable data back and forth frequently. So what does that mean on the job site? You've got subcontractors, suppliers, general contractors, owners, architects, engineers, lenders, insurance companies, bonding agents, right? All of those companies, they build their business on the construction project, but they have risk management principles that they have to adhere to do business on the job. So right now, because of the problem with data silos that we've talked about for the last couple of days, they have to do a lot of manual trust building, sending purchase orders, sending something from my database to your database, and then you have to send it from your database to the owner's database. So all of this is to say, blockchain is a technology that is ideal for construction. And so that's what we do. So 4 years ago, I started DigiBuild. Now we are venture backed by the biggest investors out there. We're a Y Combinator company. We work with 30 of the biggest construction companies in the country. We have, over $1 million in revenue. We've managed 900 million in construction volume over the last couple of years. So what I want to talk about with that is the transition from real world applications right now to the applications that we're talking about here in Web3, smart contract platforms, NFTs, DAOs, things like that. So as everyone mentioned, everyone gave their own little example for how a blockchain works or what a blockchain is. I always like to go with the group text message, right? Let's say I'm going to tell you I'm going to build you a shed in a small little shed. I can text you, I'm going to charge you 10 grand for that, right? But if you don't keep a copy of that information, I could change it. I could say, no, I told you I was going to charge you $100,000. And what was your name, sir? Sorry. If me and Michael are the only ones texting like that, well, there's no way to really prove it. So we both have to keep our own redundant copies. But let's say you're all part of that group text message as well. You guys see me tell Michael I'm going to pay him $10,000 for that shed. So basically the network has validated it. And that's basically what blockchain does with information of value or, different things. That can be scarcity. It can be, many different things. And so that is in construction what these companies do anyways. If I'm a supplier, I'm going to drop off some material to a job site. And again, I'm sorry, I'm not using my slides here. I don't want to sell to everyone. I kind of just want to do a mix of the things. But if I'm going to drop off material on your job site, because I'm a supplier and you're a contractor who's going to pay me, well, I can't really trust you. I can't just take your word for it that you're going to pay me. So what do you have to do as the contractor? Fill out all my paperwork. That's manual trust building. Because if you try and screw me over, I have recourse. I can take you to court. So if you look in construction between suppliers, contractors, owners, architects, all of those companies I mentioned, all of the paperwork we do and all of the review and double checking, risk management, as we call it, is a form of manual trust building. So long-term, what our vision at DigiBuild is these construction projects are built on top of a blockchain where all of those nodes in the network are actually stakeholders on a project who in the back are validating these transactions to make sure that they're happening in a way that they're supposed to. And what that will allow you to do, talking real world use cases, is start to make more efficient some of the different things that happen right now in trust building on construction projects. So here's some of the things that we do for contractors, and I'll talk more about kind of the blockchain side of things in a second. So what we do, we reduce their labor hours managing the material by 25%. We save them 6 figures, 7 figures, getting better material pricing. We reduce their late deliveries using predictive analytics to look at the real-time lead times of products, excuse me. And then we capture data to improve that entire process. That's on the front end. So what you're going to see, what I believe we're going to see in blockchain, and I've heard this said by some people I respect, is blockchain will have made it mainstream when you don't even know you're using a blockchain. Meaning all that really matters is that front end user experience. The decentralization, the smart contracts, the things on the back end, those will be so seamless that they're pretty much automatic. The end user doesn't realize it. So construction is a perfect example of that.